Welcome to my motivational video. I'd like to talk a little bit about motivation, how I see it, and how you can use it to get things done. This is not one of these videos where I'm going to tell you that you're your own worst enemy and you need to do this and that and get up in the morning and all kinds of solutions on that. I'm going to rather show you through some examples how I've seen motivation work, and both on the individual and from the different mechanisms in the society which kind of pushes us in certain directions. First of all, let's define motivation. Let's talk about what it is. And in its simplest form, I will say that motivation is what makes you do something, what makes you get up and perform, and well, perform in the bigger sense of the word, because I'm not going to talk about how to get motivated to have a drink of water or something like that. That's pointless. But in order to explain a little bit more, let's first think about children. And watching children can be very interesting to see, because they have no learning from before, no real experience. They are not unconscious in the way that we are. They kind of just react to what's happening, and they either do something or they don't. And they didn't read any psychology books. They haven't any trauma or anything like that will push them in a certain direction. So motivation is what makes you get up and do something, what you kind of thinking that gets you going. There are two main categories of this. One is called positive motivation, the other one, let's call it negative motivation. And it works in the way that a positive motivation is like a reward for a certain action or behavior or whatever it is. You get paid for doing your work, you do something for your spouse and she says something nice about you, or generally a reward for something that you do. And if we think about children, you can tell a child that if you do this and that and behave, you'll get an ice cream or a simple reward. What you're actually doing is that you put a mental picture of this ice cream up in their head, and they, depending on, of course, their previous experience of doing something for a reward, if they had good experience with that and if they really want an ice cream and so forth and so on, you will get that behavior. Now that will work on some children, but not every. If we go over on the negative side, I guess we've all been to a restaurant or somewhere where we hear a parent struggling with their child and actually telling them that if you don't behave now, I'm going to put you in the car. And what's happening then is that, okay, there's a mental picture of what it's like to sitting in the car for the child. And again, depending on their experience before, they may have sat in this car before, and so they might change their behavior because of the threat, because of that they don't want to go in the car. But sometimes they actually need to be put there. They need to have this experience of being taken out of the environment that you're in, put in the car, and then they can feel it, you know, they sit here, they are alone, they are excluded from the company that just was. Everything is different, it smells differently, it's a more complete experience which they can compare with the other experience, and then, okay, Mama, Papa, I will now behave and maybe please go inside again. I'll talk about the same examples for grown-up people because it's actually the same, and the society, it's full of these mechanisms that kind of pushes us in this direction, either with a carrot in front of us or on the negative side, some kind of punishment or worse situation to put us in. One of the first examples of the negative motivation was a training course that I attended once, and we all spoke a little bit about each other's lives. And there was one guy who explained something from his high school days, and his main teacher had told him quite bluntly that from you it's not going to become nothing. You're worthless, or you will not become anything. That was kind of the message. And thinking about it, that may sound rude and something like, you know, a teacher shouldn't do that. But what it actually did in his case was that it motivated him. Now, he didn't understand this himself because from how he told his story and all that, but he had paid attention in class, he studied before his exams, he didn't go out to party, he really did what he could to get good grades and to pass the schools, which he did. He got a good job, he got a family, and he generally made it. You know, he made it all through those years, and all was well. And years later, he met with this teacher and were able to tell him that, look at me, I did become something. I have a good job, I have a family, I have, well, with money and everything. And for me, outside listening to this story and kind of thinking about what this simple phrase had done to him, it had made him study, it had made him pass this everything, and all this time inside himself he'd probably been saying that I'll prove him wrong, I'll prove that he is not right in what he's been talking about me, I'll do that. And that's a powerful motivation. That's really strong. My next example is, I watched the TV and I saw this documentary, and it was about Arnold Schwarzenegger. And Arnold is, you know, a top achiever. He's, you know, he has made it in everything he tried. I mean, first he was a, you know, #1 athlete, Mr. Universe and all that. Secondly, he was a Hollywood actor. He was, you know, a super hit and the most popular actor, and, you know, he was #1. And after that, he went to politics, and he made governor, and which is pretty much the highest thing he can do, not being born in the US. But in this documentary, it came out. There was some psychologist there that talked about that he had some problems with his father early in life, and his father didn't see him, his father didn't, you know, recognize him, and he was pretty much neglected by his father. And the psychologist then said that this bodybuilding is, you know, that's a sport, that's a a show where people are looking at you. You know, look at my muscles, look at my beautiful figure, my body. Look at, you know, it's a admiring type of sport, and that really comes from his father didn't see him, so it's like he's screaming out that, Papa, look at me playing. Papa, look at how I ride my bicycle. Papa, look, Papa. And it's really sad that it turned out that way. That you know, but he used it for a good motivation. He became a number one, and later on, the same thing happened when he began acting. Someone told him that, Arnold, you shouldn't be an actor. This will never work. You'll never make it. And of course, that probably struck a chord that he couldn't do something. So more he wanted to do it, and it probably felt just the same as when his father didn't see him, when his father didn't recognize him, and so he went on and became a number one in acting too. The third example about the same thing is a more local example from here, and it shows a little bit about how this differs in nationalities too, where and which motivation which works where. I'm Norwegian. I live in Norway, and the Norwegian women handball team, they are pretty good. They're, you know, one of the tops in the world, and so it's something that people watch on the TV and take a notice of, and quite often they are fighting against the Russian handball team, which is also up there, and the trainer of the Russian handball team, you know, an older gentleman with lots of experience, he's kind of been known here because he yells and he swears at his players, and he calls them all kinds of horrible names, and he really turns them down. And Norway being a pretty strong country on the feminist side, they think he's, you know, way out of his league, and the way he treats his woman, and it's terrible, and it's awful that it's possible to speak to someone that way. But the fact is, they don't really understand what he's doing, because what he is doing is motivating them. So when he calls this girl a ugly cow which can't put a goal, then all she feels is that, okay, that's not right, I'll prove him wrong, and she puts that ball high up in the corner and she scores, hence proving him wrong in his accusation. And people don't see that that's a certain kind of motivation which only works, and that's the common thing about these three examples. It only works when there's a person of a certain authority saying this comment. Now, in the first example with the student, it was his teacher, his main teacher, which he probably looked up to. So it's a kind of a authority person which it kind of matters for you how they think about you, and you want to prove them yourself for this person. And the second example with Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's the same thing. It was his father, and of course you want to prove yourself to your father. It's the most, for a small boy, it's the most important person in the world. And in the last example here with this handball women, it's, you know, that trainer, he's the Russian Federation's chosen handball trainer. You know, he's not just somebody who yells at them. He's probably a person with very high authority. And these women, they're great players, but they can probably more easily be replaced than he can. So there's a a difference in like their value, if you like, compared to him. So the positive side of motivation, like I said in the beginning, it's more like a you do something and you get paid, you get some positive comments, it's all kind of ways in which you kind of get a reward. You do something and you get something back, which is positive. The negative one, it's like more complex, because we think of it as something bad, but it's just another way of pushing our buttons. Like I said, there's these mechanisms in society which works on the same way. Let's say that you buy something in credit and you get a bill in the mail, and okay, you know, if you don't pay it, the next one is going to be higher. So if that kind of is a strong enough mental picture for you, then you pay the bill and then it's finished with that. Okay, you might wait until the next one comes, and then you know that, okay, if I don't pay it now, the repossession man is going to come. So depending on how strong this picture is and how you feel about it, you either pay it. And I guess we've all seen this repossession man programs on TV where they go up to pick a car, and do you see how these people wake up when they understand that their car is actually going to be taken away? And that's the same thing. That's exactly the same thing as a child being put in the car. At that moment, when you are in a different environment, you actually understand that these people are going to take your car away. Then you wake up. Another example is, I guess we all had a friend that's, taken his girlfriend for granted and, been lazy and everything, and then she drops him, and then he wakes up, buying flowers, hanging around her house, visiting her parents, and all kinds of action is occurring all of a sudden. And again, it's the same. He's been put in the car and he don't want to be there, he wants to get out. And so that's pretty much how the motivation thing works on all people I've seen, at least. It can be a combination that you need both something positive to pull yourself again. There's something positive there, but in the end it's all an illusion. If something bad is pushing you to do the action, or you're pulling yourself, the result is the same. You're in some kind of action. It's just that you believe in one of them and the other one you don't believe in. So if you believe in the positive reward and you can pull something out of that, fine. But also, if you kind of needs to have some fire behind you to get you going, that's fine too, because it will get you going one way or the other. And that's what people seem not to be aware of, even when they look back at their bigger decisions, the crossroads back in their life. Why did I go left and not right? Why did I do this? They seem unable to pinpoint why they did that. But hopefully with these explanations and how motivation actually works, you can be able to decide if, hey, I'm actually a person that reacts best to a negative type of motivation, that okay, if I don't do something, it's going to get worse. If I don't perform in this job interview, I'm probably going to end up losing everything, and I need to do something because of that. or you might need to look at all the positive things of a job change, better career possibilities, better salary, new work buddies, all the positive things that will pull you towards your goal. Yeah, I guess that was all that I wanted to say. Thank you.